Veronica Pedrosa in Kuala Lumpur, where the Pakistani Foreign Minister, Shah Mehmood Qureshi, is attending a meeting of 8 developing Islamic countries. Pakistan is a nation under siege. Hundreds of people have been killed in a series of recent attacks, which have shown that the Taliban, which have claimed responsibility for some of them, can strike wherever they choose. This was the scene when a massive bomb exploded at a market in Peshawar on Wednesday. 120 people, mostly women and children, died. Security is tight in Pakistan's cities and schools have been shut in 2 provinces as the army carries out large-scale operations against the Taliban and other armed groups in South Waziristan. With the death toll from that fighting and the attacks rising on a daily basis, I began by asking Mr. Qureshi what Pakistan's president had meant when he said the war in South Waziristan would continue until, quote, the complete elimination of the militants.
What it means is that Pakistan has come out of denial, and we recognize the challenge. And we, as a political entity, as a political party, and as a government which is democratically elected, have decided to take it on head on. Because we feel that this menace is growing, and if we do not check it now, it is going to affect not just our innocent people who are dying on a daily basis, it is going to affect our economy, investments, growth. Today there is a resolve, there is determination, and there is political consensus within Pakistan that we have to go for them and see this to its logical conclusion. Whether we have to operate in Swat, or we have to move into Waziristan, or any other area of Pakistan where these extremists and militants try and go to and challenge the rest of the government.
But we're seeing the emergence of armed groups also in your home area, Punjab.
Mm-hmm.
What would a permanent solution to terrorism in Pakistan look like? Does it go beyond the traditional armed fighting, as it were, in the Fatah, in the NWFP?
Obviously, we are not looking for just an arm or a military solution to this problem. We feel that this problem has to be tackled in a number of ways, and the deterrence is one of those ways. We have to face it politically, and we have, and that is how this fight has got political ownership today, which it lacked in the past. We have to address to the issues of the economy, because the levels of poverty and the availability of gun fodder for the terrorists, there's a linkage there. We have to disrupt and disconnect that linkage. We have to address issues of development, areas which have been deprived, neglected in the past, and Fatah as a region was neglected in the past. It was never amalgamated into the mainstream. We intend to do so. Fatah had laws that were at times draconian, legacy of the past, of the colonial rule. We've set up committees to amend them and to bring that region into the main political stream.
Is that going to be enough, though, to prevent even more attacks like we've seen over the last few weeks, in which, as you say, hundreds of people have died? A girls' school in Khyber was attacked. We've seen girls' schools attacked over and over again. Local officials have told Al Jazeera that intelligence security resources are simply not enough. In Peshawar, for example. Isn't it also a question of reform of those military and intelligence structures so that these areas are better covered?
Well, certainly there's always room for improvement, and over the years we have improved. But there is so much that you can do. You cannot have military presence or intelligence presence in every nook and corner of the country. It's a country which is inhabited by 170 million people. It's a huge country.
But people don't feel safe. People are really worried. Where can they go if these armed groups can go into places like these, like we saw in Lahore, where they go into these brazen attacks that are supposed to, these areas were supposed to be secure?
True. But people were not safe in New York. People were not safe in Bali. People were not safe in Madrid, in London, right? Terrorists are terrorists. People are not safe in Iraq, in Iran, in India. So this is a global challenge. We have adopted a regional approach, accepting that this challenge is larger than just Pakistan. Pakistan is playing the role of a frontline state, you know, and we are fighting it out for not just for our own security, but regional security and global security. And we're paying a price. And we recognize the magnitude of the challenge. In the past, people were not even willing to accept the challenge. They were in denial. We are no longer in denial. We're accepting the challenge, and that's half the battle won. And now, having accepted the challenge, we've evolved political consensus. Having developed political consensus, we've started the operations. And we've started improving and reforming institutions that are supposed to address this challenge.
Speaking about the regional nature of this problem, there have been some suggestions that, quote, external forces are at play, which is a euphemism, I think, that is used quite often in Pakistan to suggest Indian involvement. How seriously are you taking such suggestions?
See, what we've been saying is that India and Pakistan both have to realize that this is a common challenge. Mumbai was affected, and you saw the reaction in India. We are facing that on a daily basis. And they have to understand and realize that we are doing our bit. They have to cooperate as an important regional player. Like, for example, if Pakistan is not willing to cooperate in Afghanistan, things could be critical in Afghanistan. Pakistan has decided to play a positive role for peace and stability in Afghanistan, because we feel that Pakistan's peace and stability is linked to Afghanistan's. India has to realize that if Pakistan is destabilized, the buck won't stop here. So it is a common challenge. We all have to join in, pool in our resources to fight this menace.
Speaking of the situation in Afghanistan, can you comment further on your request, as reported in the Pakistan media, to be involved in the US review of its strategy in Afghanistan? What do you think about the way that they're handling the situation? We're seeing prolonged political uncertainty at the moment.
Obviously, they've had elections, and the elections were challenged by some quarters, and now they're having a runoff on the 7th of November. So this prolonged election has led to a certain amount of political uncertainty.
Do you think the US should have dealt with it differently?
What could the US do? It's for the people of Afghanistan to decide who do they want to vote for. You know, if the contesting candidates poll less than 50%, then there's a constitutional requirement for a runoff, and that constitutional requirement is being fulfilled.
So what would your input be in the strategy review if the US were to allow you to give your input?
Well, our input would be useful. Why do I say it'll be useful? It'll be useful because we understand the area. We understand the customs, the language, the traditions. You know, we have a common religion. You know, we have common tribes living on both sides of the border, right? And we have to help each other, because if we are effective on our side, being oblivious of their needs and push the miscreants into Afghanistan, we're not helping ourselves. If the US or NATO surge in Afghanistan pushes the buck into Pakistan, you know, it is not in their long-term interest to do so. So it has to be a well thought out, coordinated strategy, a holistic approach to resolve the problem.
All right, so do you think more troops are needed in Afghanistan to keep the region safer?
That is for the military leadership to decide, you know, what is the level of troops they require. What we are saying is, it depends on how you use the troops already deployed. Now, even if you don't add new troops and you do not deploy them or use them well, it can create problems for us and ultimately for them. So its numbers is one. And in my view, some additional numbers would be required. Why do I say that? I say that because today, Afghanistan is somewhat handicapped. They do not have sufficient Afghan soldiers. They do not have a well-trained, well-equipped Afghan police. Now, till they have sort of achieved those numbers and trained those people to do the job, they will need help. And that additional help, in my view, is required.